Hello and welcome to Tarot with Tanya. This is 7 cards for 7 days, and we are looking at the week of Monday, November 11 to Sunday, November 17. Welcome if you're here for the first time. Welcome back if you've been here before. I will talk some about the astrology for this week. We have a few aspects, and we also have a full moon. And then we'll look at cards, and I am using the Wildwood deck, and we'll finish with the Tree Keeper's Oracle card. Wow, what a week. What a shocker. And I remember last week, the card for Wednesday, the day after the election, was the Tower. And I'm not going to lie, that scared me a little bit, and boy, did that end up bearing fruit, unfortunately, well, at least in my opinion. So, I feel like the Tree Keeper's Oracle card that we got today is a concept, a theme that was on my mind. And I heard one of my favorite astrologers, psychics rather, on YouTube use this word too. So we'll get to that. But I feel like it, in a way, might be somewhat of an antidote if you're feeling, stressed about what happened. Well, let's get to the cards and the astrology first. So we start our week with the moon in Pisces. So that's very dreamy, very mystical, very creative, can be idealistic and hopeful, into the great collective unconscious, that kind of an energy. So, it's connected, at least in Western mythology, to the Christ. And it could be a really good moment to really feel our feelings and have compassion for others, even if, we don't see things eye to eye. Later that evening on Monday, I think it's almost into Tuesday, we're going to have the moon move into Aries, and that's a whole new start. And we're going to end our week with the moon in Gemini. And that is intellectual, it's curiosity, it's short-term travel, it likes to ask questions, that kind of energy, the twins. And then in between, before that, on Friday the 15th, we have the full moon in Taurus. Normally, full moon, there's always the lunacy thing, always people going a little bit crazy. But a lot of astrologers are giving this one a lot of emphasis, in part because we're also going to have the sun opposing Uranus, which is in Taurus, and this full moon is going to be conjunct this Taurus in opposition to the sun, because it's, the full moon is always in opposition to the sun. So, I don't remember all the ins and outs, but it's connecting to previous aspects and lunations and so forth. So there could be some revelations that at that point. We'll see what happens. But if nothing else, you've got that moon energy, that beautiful full moon in the very earthy very earthy Taurus. The sign of the bull can be stubborn, very sensual, loves gardening, practical kinds of things, really good, rich foods, that sort of thing. Then Monday, so we're backing up now, we have Venus entering Capricorn. So, Venus, matters of the heart, our aesthetics. This could have us looking for someone serious to be involved with, somebody very stable, have us looking at our resources, perhaps wishing we had more, but at least taking a look at that. And, it's a fairly serious kind of energy. Then on Tuesday the 12th, we have Mercury square Saturn. Saturn the taskmaster, and it's in those late degrees of Pisces. And it could cause us to feel a little anxious about our ideas, about our information, about how we communicate. Because, you know, Saturn again is very serious, very grounded, the taskmaster. Mercury likes to flit around. So they really are, you know, different kinds of energies, and when you have the square, that emphasizes those differences. And then finally on Saturday, as I mentioned, we have the Sun opposing Uranus, right, with that full moon in Taurus. So wild things could happen. You know, the Sun is about illumination, Uranus is about the lightning bolt, the sudden inspirations, the flashes of insight, the crazy turn of directions. And I think we just went through that, so I don't think that's over. I think we're going to have some more surprises in that direction. So we'll see. Anyway, what do the cards say? Well, we have some bows and some stones, more stones than anything this week, and only one major. So there's an earthiness here, and it's interesting. We start with the two. All the twos will be connected to the high priestess, so in some degree, to our intuition, to that knowing that we have without knowing how we know. And this one is the more earthy one, and this one's called Challenge, and who knows what challenges may come up tomorrow. Now, this isn't like really serious stuff personally, but on a national level, we'll see what happens. We may find that there are more challenges, but you know, traditional meanings of the card are often about how do we balance. Look at the rabbits here balancing on their back feet. You know, are they fighting? Are they playing? They're in some sort of energy flow, and that's often how you'll see this card depicted. So an earthiness, a partnership, a working with a duality. We stay with those stones on Tuesday when we go to the 9. And you know, here we have a shaman-like figure wearing the antler hat, holding the snake in one hand, holding what's called a torque, which was a symbol, a necklace. It was a symbol of royalty, at least at one point in Celtic Britain. And he does seem to be holding these as power objects and meditating. And there's a full moon back there. Perhaps sun, but I think more like moon. And, you know, the stones are casting the shadows. This one's often associated with a lot of resources, with money, with having plenty, enough to share and things like that. So hopefully we're going to get that sense of our own groundedness and how, you know, we can trade what we have to get what we need. And I mean, you know, time, resources, energy, that sort of thing. We get to that second 2 for the week, and this is our one and only major, and you know, this is typically judgment. We have the Great Bear, it's called here. You have the sacred entrance, the stones marking sort of like pillars, you know, before the entrance to this cave. Maybe the northern lights in the background. The trees, you know, they're so naughty and orange, they almost look like flames to me, especially contrasted with that, you know, deep blue and starry sky. So the energy feels to me very protective. You know, what is it to go into the cave of judgment? Are we going to use our good judgment, or are we going to blindly make judgments in the dark? And we're probably thinking about judgment quite a bit right now. And, you know, I encourage people not to try to judge yourself or others. Just, you know, accept. And again, that Tree Keeper's Oracle card will kind of give us a clue, I hope. The next card stays with the stones. I think this is the last for the week. Yeah, so this is our third one, and happens to be a number 3 as well. So this one is subtitled Creativity. And I mean, it's very odd. You have this feminine figure almost growing like a tree, like the dress looks like a root system, right? It just flows right out of her. And so it's almost like she's a tree nymph. She's grown here, and I don't know if you can tell, but there are incisions in the rock. There are animals and symbols and so forth. She has some kind of a horned animal and looks like a horse maybe on the other side, so some sort of a bull or something, and then a horse. So it's very earthy, it's very creative, and it tends to signify working with other people on a project. I think the animals are doing that here, that they represent those other entities, and she's organically working with them. So this would be a good use of our feminine energy. It doesn't matter what your gender is or how you identify, but taking that feminine energy that each of us has and making something solid and creative. Even if it's like cooking a great meal for yourself. Maybe sharing that with a couple of friends. When we get to Friday, and that's that full moon, here we have the Six of Vessels, which is the water energy in this deck, cups typically, and this Six of Vessels is reunion. So often nostalgia is associated with this, and literal reunions with people we love. So, you know, maybe that's a day to reconnect with those you love. Maybe it's a day that we feel some kind of unity. Even, you know, we might be able to feel that with others, even if we're very different and they don't want to reciprocate. We're all connected. I mean, that's to me the big spiritual lesson that humanity is going through right now. We are all related. And this feels like that kind of energy to me, to know that we are part of this collective and to be loving. This is associated, it's a 6, so it's associated with the Lover's card too. So how do we love our inner male, our female, our anima, our animus? How do we love our neighbors, our friends, our family, and strangers, and those we disagree with even? Don't have to like them, but the love factor seems really important. Saturday, we get another 3. So this is very connected to that 3 of stones, and now we have the 3 of bows, which is the fire energy. And you know, she's more dynamic, right? Our other woman, you can't see my hand here, but you know, she had her arm out, she was touching the rocks on either side of her, getting that incredible groundedness. This figure feels more to me like her groundedness is coming with those 2 staffs in the ground. And then of course you've got these snakes and the caduceus. They're almost like little dragons. I don't know if you can see their heads, but they have more like dragon heads. And the way her hands are, it just feels like there's a commanding of energy. A traditional association with this card is either your ship has come in or you're waiting for your ship to come in. I feel like it's using your magic. It's connected to the Empress, all the 3s are. So there's the bounty, the creativity with the 3 of stones, and here it's some kind of a fiery manifestation, in a way getting what you want, you know, with the most benevolent outcome. All right, and last but not least, our Sunday card is the Page of Bows. So we have more fire energy with this. And it's such a springtime looking card to me, early summer. You know, it's a fiery energy, but you have that water there and you have so much beautiful greenery. And then, you know, the flaming colors of our animal. And I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of it. But pausing and bringing in a new energy. That's what the pages do. They stir things up, they bring in information, they bring in heat. This one is all fired up and trying to show us something. And it almost feels the way that you see, you know, this like fallen tree trunk, and it seems like our page is crossing over it, taking us to a new place, a new understanding. So again, that would be our moon in Gemini that day, which, you know, is air, but fire and air obviously get along. They're both masculine energies. All right, well, we will end with the Tree Keeper Oracle card, and what came up was surrender. I know I've had this recently. I can't remember if this was on the channel or not. But this word came to me after, this really rough election stuff. Not to give in, not to feel defeated, but I would say toss it up to a higher power. Pray for that most benevolent outcome. Pray for the greater good for all. Don't torment yourself. Don't worry. Don't project. Try to stay in the now, which is the only real moment that we have. I mean, I know I'm sitting here talking about cards, and use them if they work for you, but intuitively, if they don't, don't accept that. Listen to your own intuition. Maybe find other ways, to validate that for yourself, or just let time pass. But anyway, surrender. What does it say? Keeper of surrender. During autumn, trees show us how beautiful it is to let go. The cessation of chlorophyll causes the trees to burst into true color as they release their leaves. Surrender isn't defeat. It is the sacred pause that allows us to use all our senses to receive a new vision. And I think that's where we are. I just can't describe the feeling I have, but I've heard a lot of other psychics say this, that something has changed. There's a shift, and I feel like we need to surrender, and it's going to be better than we think it is. So cease all striving. Stop the endless cycles of productivity. Abolish your white knuckle resiliency. Lay your spine along the earth's solid ground and feel the support waiting for you there. Align your spine along the length of your favorite tree and feel the solidity of bark, the warmth of sap, and the hum of the tree song. There are times when effort only creates futility and extends suffering. This is one of them. Something new wants to communicate with you and is awaiting your presence in this moment. And I had a weird little thing with that last night. I was just sitting there, watching a little bit of YouTube, and my head was just tingling. And it would move around, and I just really felt like it was surrender. Don't worry about things. It's all going to be okay. Spirit communicates with us, and it always will. And if that's something you're struggling with, you can learn. There are lots of good resources out there. Just check it out and contact me if I can help in that way. And beloveds, hang in there. I really feel I feel the slam, the gut punch, all that we went through this week, and yeah, I care about all of you. So reach out if I can help. There'll be information at the end and below in the description box, and thank you.